What's up everyone, Vu of Vu Films, and I am back with another video, and today I want to talk about Sony's new FX30 crop sensor Super 35 APS-C, whatever you want to call it, cinema camera. Specifically, I want to talk about one of its perceived weaknesses, which is low light video capability. And in my opinion, I think it's a bit BS why that's even a discussion point. But before I get into that, let me just show you this. Yes, that was a little snippet of one of my wedding films that I recently completed. But the reason why I want to show you that is because generally speaking, when you have to deal with really low light, it's usually something run and gun, something like filming a wedding. If you're filming inside a studio environment, of course you have full control of all your lighting. If you're filming a feature film, obviously you should have full control of your lighting. The vast majority of organized video shoots, you have full control over your lighting. Unless you're filming a wedding, unless you're filming an Aurora, like James Matthews' FX30 review video, you have control of your lighting. So in those instances, ISO probably doesn't matter much. Even in movies, when they film a night scene or a very low light scene, a lot of times they actually shoot it in the daytime, and then in color grading process they make it look like nighttime. It's called shooting day for night. Not sure if you heard about that. I have done it before in my client work, so yeah, that's how it's usually done. But with regards to something like a wedding, yes, there are plenty of times when things get a little hectic and you might have to just grab your camera and run and hope for the best. And to be quite honest, even with something like a Sony a7S III, if there's no additional lighting added by yourself or the photographer or what have you, you're probably gonna have to shoot high ISOs. And this usually is, maybe like a sparkler send-off or something outside at a farm venue where there's no other lighting other than the sparklers. You'll find yourself in ISO 20,000 plus. And to be quite honest, even with something like a7S III, that footage doesn't look fantastic. Can you use it? Sure, in a pinch, but it is still not ideal. In the footage I showed you of the wedding film I recently finished, that was majority shot on a7S III at 12,800 ISO and aperture of about f1.4. Some shots were f2.8. And to be quite honest with you, the only reason why I was in 12,800 is because everything under 12,800 is complete trash. I probably would have been fine using 2,000, 25, either ISO 2000 or 2500. At 12,800, I was cranking my shutter to compensate for like that extra exposure. I know what some of you are saying, I probably should be using ND, and yeah, but you know what? If I didn't tell you I was cranking shutter, would you have known? Probably not, so that is that. The whole point is, the argument that the FX30 has bad low light is complete bullshit. If anything, it is an a7S III and Sony FX30, FX6 strength that it has just really good at extreme low light situations. But the FX30 itself is not a slouch at all in low light situations, and in 99% of filming situations where the videographer, cameraman, whatever, knows what he is doing and he is properly lighting the scene, then there should be no issues with quote-unquote low light. And even if you had to use low light, the FX30 actually has two native ISOs. One is 800, one is I believe 800 ISO and S-Log3, and then the second one is 2500. In my opinion, 2500 at a lens at f1.4 and you're trying to like get that 1.7 to 2 stops overexposure on whatever you're trying to expose for, that is actually perfect most of the time. for dimly lit weddings. And then in my opinion, with the subject of lighting up weddings in mind, you should always be lighting your wedding receptions. Matter of fact, anytime that you could add additional lighting to any wedding scene, as run and gun as it is, the better, because your footage look that much better for it. Reception dancing, you should always have lights because it adds contrast, it adds lens flares, and by lighting I don't mean sit there and putting things on blast. A little backlight, not even like a key, I'm not even talking about a key light, I'm just talking about a little backlight just to give the scene some nice contrast, make the subject pop, and add that nice light flares and things of that nature. The light output is around 10 to 20% tungsten, 3200 Kelvin, because I'm trying to match the reception lighting that is usually the case. And if what I'm saying is, if you're someone out there interested in buying the FX30 and you're looking at the price, you're like, wow, that thing is only like $1,800, like, and all these tube douchers are telling me that it's only for beginners and that it is not a professional level cinema camera, and that I need to shell out $3,800 for an FX3 or an FX6 if I want to be professional because it has good low light, you might have to rethink that. Yeah, I don't have the FX30 in hand. I'll have it soon, but I've been a Sony shooter for the past like 7 years. I've used most of their crop sensors. I've used their full frame sensors. Right now, just for this sake of this video, even though I have two Sony a7S3s, I'm filming on the a7 IV in crop mode just to prove a point. At the end of the day, the FX30's ISO performance is plenty. If you happen to have FX3 or Sony a7S3 with that 12,800 second base ISO, congratulations. I know the benefit of it, and yeah, it's great, but by no means it does, because an FX3 and a7S3 could do 12,800 ISO, that all of a sudden the FX30 is trash. In my opinion, if you have 10-bit 422 4K 4K60, even better, good dynamic range, and the lens availability to use in all shooting situations, then that camera is suitable for professional use. That camera is suitable for high-end cinematic productions. The Sony E-mount has all the lenses. The FX30 does 10-bit 422 4K 4K60 4K 120 with a big crop, but still the availability is there. And if you can't produce solid content, solid professional content with an FX30, then there's something wrong with you and not the camera. Most cinema cameras out there are actually not great in low light. You look at Red, you look at Alexa, they're not low light monsters like the this a7S3, what have you. And if somebody goes around telling you crop sensor is not as professional as full frame, they don't know what they're talking about, because the newest Alexa camera, the Alexa 35, is, guess what? The Super 35 camera. With that being said, guys, I hope this gave you some insight. I hope it maybe helped you make a purchase decision on the Sony FX30, or if you want to shell out more for FX3, Sony a7S3 or whatever, for that full frame Bocalicious goodness, whatever you want to call that. Yeah, till next time, lighten up. Hey man, you got the Sony FX30? Yeah man, camera's solid, only 1,800 bucks. Oh my god, that a rat camera. It unprofessional. Bro, I don't know what you're talking about, man. Man, the sensor's so tiny. It only APSC. If you want to be the best, if you want to be professional, you need the full frame. Bro, I don't know what you're talking about, but they use Super 35 in many high-end Hollywood films. Let me show you. Tired of your film look like crap? You want to be award-winning? You want to be the best? You want to be cinematic, filmic, and professional? Sign up for my full-frame cinematic course. Yeah, no thanks, bro. You sign up for my masterclass, you get a free t-shirt.